welcome back to Shemsuniverse. So today guys, we're going to discuss life path 7's compatibility with the next three life paths, which is 7 itself, 8 and 9. In the prior videos we've already discussed numbers 1 through 6, so you should be good to go there. If you do have any questions regarding it, just go back to those prior videos or just leave it in the comments for me and I'll go into more detail whatever you do need. But for now, let's just get through the rest. So life path 7 with 7 is a very intellectual, sort of dogmatic energy. These people, they value intellectualism over everything else. So in a relationship, two life path 7s will work very well together to help each other's spiritual growth and intellectual growth. But with everything else, like with general intimacy, it may be a bit lacking. You need some other energy there that's more in the physical realm to actually really ignite the 7 and bring about that sort of turtle shell that they have. They more so like to be inside. They're not wanting to really do much outside, do much social activity. So when you get these two together, they might actually just turn into, not to say hermits, but just stay inside mostly and not do much external, like extracurricular activities. So that's the only weakness with that relation. When it comes to a friendship, it could be a very intellectual friendship where they discuss like revolutions, worldwide issues, and just general scientific reform or political reform. It's definitely a great number for all of that, for research and analytics. So you get both of them together in that sense, it does work very well. For business, it can work if they're interested in the same sort of topics, whether that be through science, politics, sociology, psychology. All of those things will come together, and if they're able to come together as two parties and find some common ground, then they definitely can do a lot. 7s are also zealots, and they get very obsessive over whatever they're doing. So it can work very, very well if they actually take part in the topic of the conversation and they really get things done. Moving on next, we have life path 7 with life path 8. When you have life path 7 and life path 8, it's a very mutual relation. The reason being is because 7 is a bit put off by the 8's obsession with money and materialism, and the 8's put off by the 7's sort of, I guess, being a little bit too lax when it comes to money and meeting goals and having a vision and so forth. Where the 7 prizes intellectualism, the 8 strives for power and excellence and actually overcoming different obstacles of life, but that usually comes with a status of some sort. So in an intimate relation, the 8 might be a bit critical of the 7, and the 7 can even be critical of the 8, depending on whether it's the man or the woman, whatever. But the main problem here is that they'll be critical of each other's mind states. And unless they have other numbers that are more common in their numerological chart, it probably will not work very well. For a friendship, it can work. They can be around each other. They're not going to really offend each other or intrude. But like I said, they might have a lot to talk about, which could be some gaps in the conversation. When it comes to business, the 8 will be annoyed with the 7's sort of, if the 7's not obsessed with the goal or the business that they're undertaking, the 7 might be a bit on the, just going off topic, where the 8 wants to just get things done, hammer things home, be a workaholic, and just make sure they're getting everything done each day. The 7 won't do those things, and that's going to cause some friction there. Like with all other numbers, what I always say, if you find that common ground and you're able to understand each other's energy, you can make literally anything happen. Alright? Last but not least, we have life path 7 with life path 9. This one's pretty good to a certain extent. The 7 actually always humbles around the 9 because the 9's very ideological, has very commanding presence. They're definitely very good leaders. So when they're around the 7's very spiritual, into mysticism and that philosophy. For an intimate relation, it can sometimes work. It's not very common. Typically, K2 or Neptune and Mars are actually enemy planets, so there's not much alliance there, so that can cause a little bit of friction, a lot of arguments in the relationship, and it might be short-lived. But you can make it work as long as you guys have very similar viewpoints or maybe a shared religion or certain cultural narrative. When it comes to a friendship, it can work. A lot of the times when 7s and 9s initially meet, they end up becoming enemies, so it doesn't really work the best. And then finally, for a business sort of relation, I would have to say you would have to do something along the lines of either your business has something to do with spirituality, religion, or some sort of activism for something that's like a global cause, like things like the global pandemic, global awareness, climate change. All of those things can definitely also take part in that. You guys might be able to make something work there. But 7s as a general thing, guys, just because I'm finalizing my facts in the 7, they're best with like number 1s, 2s can work, 3s can work, 4s is their perfect magnetism, and that's where it really falls into. With everything else, you start getting friction as you get to those higher numbers. 7, 8, and 9 are the highest frequency numbers, and they don't get along together typically very well. All right? But that does conclude the video for LifePath 7's compatibility, guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, like I always say, leave it in the comments. If you have a private question regarding your relationship, send me a message on Instagram at Shemsuniverse 8.0, or send me an email at shemsuniverse@hotmail.com, and I'll answer any questions you guys may have. But aside from that, like, subscribe. All it is for today, guys. Peace.